Start game now. Welcome fans to another episode of the Nose for Gamers. Scrooge has been telling me about one of his distant cousins, another bird who once gathered several treasures in an Egyptian land to become wealthy, somewhat like himself, and that bird was the Desert Falcon. That's right, today we're going to look at Desert Falcon for the Atari 7800, a super game cartridge, which is just a marketing saying, it doesn't really mean anything. But check out this box art. Very cool. You have the Sphinx looking up at this green bird, spitting out deadly kites at him. How interesting is that? Let's go ahead and take Desert Falcon, pop it into our Atari 7800 Pro system, find out if this super game cartridge is super or not. Let's go to the game. Grrr! Desert Falcon is an original title that was published by Atari in 1987. It is a Zaxxon-style isometric shooter for 1 or 2 players alternating. It has 4 modes of difficulty: Novice, Standard, Advanced, and Expert. 30 centuries ago, thieves who plundered Pharaoh's tomb of treasures were attacked by various creatures as they escaped. Now you, a falcon, is out to get the treasures because that's what sunstroked birds do in the desert. Control-wise, you push down on the joystick to gain altitude and up to lower, and move forward when you're on the ground or swimming in the lake. The left button fires arrows from your beak. There are treasures on the ground, such as golden eggs, gems, and bars of silvers that you can pick up by hopping on them or hovering closely over them. There are also hieroglyphic symbols on the ground as well. Picking up 3 will turn them into a special ability that can help or hurt you and can be activated by pressing the right button. There are many different abilities, but some of the good ones include invincibility, extra points, and the ability to warp to the end of the level, where some of the bad ones will make you unable to swim or fly. However, the effect is usually temporary, and the odds are you will find a good power rather than a bad one. You can also memorize various combinations, but the order counts. For instance, getting a bird, cane, and then a bull will become a warp, whereas getting the same symbols in a different order, like cane, bird, bull, will give you an air bomb that can blow up flying enemies instead. The warp is my favorite as it sends you straight to the end of the level, some of which are very long, especially later on in the game. You start the game with 5 lives, but you lose 1 every time you are hit by an enemy or whenever you crash into an obstacle. At the end of the level, there is a giant Sphinx that can only be defeated by a single shot right in between the eyes. After you defeat the Sphinx, you will enter a timed bonus area where you can gain bonus points by picking up treasures, and you won't die if you crash into the obstacles during this bonus time. The values of each treasure are determined by how many enemies you shot and treasures you picked up during that level before you face the giant Sphinx. Various enemies can increase the base value of the treasure by 1 to 5 points for each enemy you destroy. Every treasure you pick up also increases its individual multiplier, but if you shoot a treasure, the multiplier will return to 1. Scoring-wise, the enemy point values range from 100 to 1,000 points. The first boss Sphinx is worth 5,000 points, and each one following that is worth 1,000 more points than the previous one. You also earn an extra life for every 10,000 points you score, but you're only allowed to have up to 6 extra lives in reserve at any one time. Graphically speaking, I think the game looks pretty good for a 7800 title, and I liked how the colors of the stages vary throughout the game. The music and sound effects I found to be, well, pretty good. I found the short theme to be very catchy, and I really dug the rough sounds of the boss Sphinxes at the end of each round. And this is a fairly family-friendly game, except you're basically stealing stolen treasures, and exactly what are you, a bird, going to do with them once you got them? On eBay, this game goes for about $10 for a loose cartridge, $11 to $12 for a complete copy, and $25 to $30 for new copies, and as always, shipping is included in those prices. So would I recommend Desert Falcon for the 7800? Well, there are both good points and bad points to this game. The control in the isometric view does take some getting used to, and while I found it pretty easy to shoot the enemies when you are all the way at the top of your altitude or while on the ground, I found it hard to hit the enemies and easier to die when flying in the mid-range altitudes, and crashing into obstacles can become frustrating at times as well. I did, however, like all the various power-ups, but it can be very difficult to memorize all but a few of the select patterns due to the large number of possible combinations. But overall, I really enjoyed my time with Desert Falcon. I really liked the Egyptian style, and I found the overall game to be a refreshing change of pace to the common space shooter. So if you like shooters and you have a 7800, I would say you should check this out. So where am I going to rank Desert Falcon? Well, at number 5, I currently have Dig Dug, and I do enjoy Dig Dug more than Desert Falcon. At 6, I have Galaga, and even though Galaga is a solid port of a classic game, I actually enjoy Desert Falcon a little more due to its originality. So Desert Falcon is going to be my new number 6 game. So there you go, Desert Falcon. It's an enjoyable, unique experience on the Atari 7800. If you enjoy the Atari 7800, be sure to check out my podcast, the Atari 7800 Game by Game Podcast, on iTunes, Stitcher, and right here on YouTube. This game was covered in greater depth along with Ball Blazer on episode 9. Also, be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons, and be sure to check out some of my other reviews of not only Atari 7800 games, but also 2600 games, NES games, Genesis games, and a whole lot more. With over 150 reviews posted, there's sure to be something for just about any retro fan. Thank you guys for giving me a little part of your day, and I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode of the No Swear Gamer. Take care and watch out for those giant howling sphinxes. They're mean.